Okay.
Just to kind of drill this home about how absolutely insane it is to argue over stupid shit. Um, so when my first daughter was born, it was life changing, right? And I've shared these stories in the past. You can find them like I did Hanging with Bears and stuff, and I've written them in letters. But I've had experiences like driving home from the hospital where I just said thank you, 2 words in my head, didn't even say it out loud, overcome with like the spirit moving through me, rushing through my body so hard that I had to pull over. I couldn't drive. Like my whole entire nervous system was lit up. I was like bawling, crying. And but I had another one when my daughter was my oldest daughter, who's almost 4. She was probably a year and a half old, so she was starting to get some words, and but it was still kind of that baby gibberish. And I was going to put her to bed one night, and she's drinking milk. I'm rocking her in bed. It's a dark room, and I'm sitting there. I'm fully enthralled in my wood shop at this point. I'm working 16-hour days. I'm just depleted physically and emotionally, but I'm have to keep going because this is maybe beginning to mid 2021, so we're still well into the corona nonsense. And so I'm praying there quietly, going, I feel like what I'm doing is right, but I also feel like I'm breaking myself in the process. Um, and I'm at a crossroads. I don't know what to do. Do I keep going with the shop and try to build it because I feel like I'm killing myself physically? My neck hurts worse every day. My back hurts worse every day. What do I do? If I'm on the right path for now, not long term, but just for now, if I should keep going doing this, just give me a sign, because like I need some reassurance, you know? And I go, like, when I pray, I really humble myself a lot of the times. And I just like, I have that knowing, that inner knowing of like, I'm not even worthy of asking for things. I feel like I have a lot of forgiving myself to do before I can even ask of anything. But there are rare times like that where I go, give me a sign, give me anything. And my daughter finishes her milk, and oh man, it's going to give me goosebumps again. It does every time. So she's sitting with her back face towards our bedroom door, and she finishes her milk. She gives me her bottle, and usually she would curl up into me and go to sleep without a word, right? Close her eyes, go to sleep. But she sits up upright, and then she looks like this. So like I'm back here, and she looks like this over towards the corner of the bedroom, and she goes, and she looks over there, and I'm like, not, I didn't realize at first because I'm still praying, and I'm kind of like tearing up a little bit. It was a really hard night for me. And she goes, Dad. And I was like, yeah, baby, what is it? And she goes, on ghoul. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because she had just learned how to say vacuum. So
Hmm.
I'm like, is she saying vacuum? But she goes, on ghoul. And I was like, what do you mean, baby? And she goes, like, I saw her eyes move first back to the door, and then she turned her head and looked as if she were listening to somebody. And then she turns around and like she kind of nodded a little bit, and then she turns back and she goes, on ghoul. And I go, baby, I don't know what you're talking about. And she goes, on Joel, on Joel. And bro, like, oh shit.
Holy smokes,
Fuck,
dude.
every time I tell this story, I get a little bit choked up. Sorry.
Holy
Um,
smokes.
but I realized what she had said, and I just started weeping, like floodgates open. And so I'm bawling hysterically. She's sitting upright. She's maybe like 15, 16 months old, right? She doesn't even have motor capacity, right? She's still a baby. She's flailing everywhere. And so I'm weeping. I take my glasses off. I'm wiping my eyes because I'm like, 20 seconds ago, I just prayed and asked for a sign. Just show me I'm on the right path. And so she does that. And I take my glasses off. This child, when I looked up, I don't know how to explain it, guys. It was like I was looking at my baby, and I was like seeing my baby, but I was like seeing somebody else in my baby's eyes. And I don't know how to describe this. Um, but it was like I was looking at somebody's eyes who fully understood me, fully knew me, fully understood every thought that was going on in my head. Like it was all understanding all at once. And my child, who had never done this in the past and has never done it since, without any shaking in her hand, she lifts her hand up and brings it to my face, and she just touches my face. And when she touched my face, I felt something move through my whole body. I start weeping uncontrollably, and she held my face for like 10 seconds while I'm sitting there bawling like a child. And I was like, am I looking at like Jesus right now? Like, is this coming through my child? Because children are way more in tune with the spiritual realm than we are. Like, to me, that's not even a question. And it was like her eyes were different. They were old. They were old. Like,
Wisdom.
old eyes, like all knowing everything. And she touches my face and she just held my hand there, and I wept. And then she takes her hand down, and then she goes, like, kind of like blinked a couple times, and then was back to herself. And she laid down in my arm and she was asleep. I'm not joking, in 30 seconds, fully asleep, snoring.